Hi teachers, welcome back to Unit 1 of the Middle School ENL Standalone curriculum. This is week 1, day 2 of the unit Building Community, and the theme this week continues as All About Me. So students will continue today with the text Becoming Joey, which they began in lesson 1.1. What I am presenting is a student version of this lesson that you can assign directly to your students with no speaker's notes. If you would like to take a look at the teacher version, you can find that in this week's and lessons folder on TeachHub, and you can take a look at those speaker's notes that have some important notes for delivering the lesson. So I am going to go through what this lesson has. So the lesson starts with an opening do now routine. As you can see, there are already boxes populated for students to be able to type their answers. So this lesson can be assigned to students directly on Google Classroom. So the opening do now, very similar to the previous day. What do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder about this picture? So the sentence starters are already here in these text boxes, and students can complete them. After that, you can go over them as a class to hear some different perspectives, and then launch into the before reading. So this before reading activity is a concept sort. So this is linked right here, the idea of concept sorts, if you'd like to take a look at those. So this is a discussion activity. So students will look at those yellow cards and move the white cards next to what they think makes sense. So there's no right or wrong answers here. This is just to get students talking. So you can have the students sort and then talk about what they put where. Students may need some help with the word nostalgic. So definitely draw some attention to that. Make sure they understand all of these words that are being presented as well as their connotations, positive, negative, or neutral. After that, you'll read the set the purpose statement and talk about the fact that they will continue with becoming Joey, but they'll look closer at the words to kind of figure out his emotions. So then we get into the text. So the recording and the PDF of the text are linked right here. They are also in the text and PDFs folder if you would like to assign them directly to your students on Classroom. They'll respond to the guiding questions that are within the text, and then finally address the discussion questions. There are boxes here for students to plan their responses to the discussion questions, so that way they are ready when it is their turn to speak. These discussion questions can be done whole class or in small groups based on the needs of your classroom. After reading the text, students will engage in a text rendering exercise. Once again, there are text boxes here provided for students to plan their responses. If you would like to do this as a discussion activity, you could also assign this as a Google form and have students sort of turn this in as a way of you self-assessing. And finally, once again, the discussion component is important here. So you want students to be able to talk and to listen to each other. So number 3 here is a one word or phrase that another student shared. So this is pushing students to learn from the text, but also learn from each other. There are also sentence starters right here if students need assistance with how to respond to the things that their peers share. Finally is the closing and connecting. So for this specific lesson, there isn't one that's more important than the other. This is just based on what you think is most relevant to your students to close the lesson. There are text boxes here already provided for you to be able to have your students write directly on the slide. And that's it. So students today are looking closer into the text, so getting to that standard of close reading and figuring out how words and phrases are used to shape the meaning of a text. So that is week 1, day 2 of Unit 1 of the Middle School ENL Standalone curriculum. Best of luck with your class.